I'll be speaking a bit on movement, internal movement and external movement, and the dance between the two of these. Just coming out of about a 6-week experience of not having a schedule, a month of that being out of the country, and then the past 2 weeks with less on my plate and an extra trip. And I have been reflecting on feeling in this moment on the other side of all of that space from my daily identifications, the feeling of non-movement as I look out and around me, and yet understanding and feeling very deeply into all of the internal movement that I've experienced and am now in the result of sitting with over the course of this past month and a half or so. There has to be a time of internal movement prior to change and external movement. So I'm referring to internal movement as teachings, receiving teachings, lessons, experience, gaining understanding of self, gaining understanding of our mind, how it functions, our relationships with ourselves and with others, how we treat ourselves, how we interact in our world, and the movement there being I'm aware of what I currently have. Can that shift based on experience, attention, practice, teachings, lessons, all of this? And that shifting is the internal movement. So if I gain perspective, when I gain perspective from another side of being, either through travel or relationship or some kind of spiritual work, meditation, yoga, retreat, things like this, if I gain perspective here, I have moved my insides. That is to say, I thought one thing, I had a particular experience of myself and my life, and now I see it another way. I have another kind of experience, or the option to have another kind of experience in life, because my perspective has changed or my understanding has expanded. First, it can be exciting and then also challenging to receive new perspectives, because it means our understanding up until that point isn't necessarily right. And it's not wrong, there's just more. But our identity is challenged in that moment, and therefore it is challenging, because it is easier for us to land on something, to have something solid to hold ourselves accountable to. And when that changes, we feel a little ungrounded or even insecure, or we feel empowered and hopeful. So let's move into the blessing of an expansive mind and say that we are feeling hopeful, that we are excited now about the internal shifts. And I'm speaking to internal shifts being positive internal shifts, things that bring us into greater understanding. There are absolutely internal movements which move us in the other direction, and that I'm not going to focus on. But if we are looking in the channel of our own actualization or evolution of understanding our true nature, we're looking at positive, expansive, internal reformations. So now I'm experiencing myself differently, or I'm experiencing the world differently, and it is all the same. How I experience myself, my internal reality, eventually becomes the external reality. In order for us to receive a lot of internal movement, there has to be a lot of external stillness. And this is one of the gifts of meditation, or removal from busy, overextended activities. Right? To sit in stillness, to let the physical body be still, then there is an awakening of the internal world that we can experience. And we see very quickly that there is a lot of movement there, and that we can participate in shaping that movement. And that is, for lack of a better word, growth itself. Once there has been an internal shift where you experience more naturally the perspective outside of the only one you had prior to the shift, then your external circumstances, your physical experience, the manifest world, can change. Even if you change your external, right? You move yourself to a new home, or you take a trip, eventually, even with some external change and maybe some brief perspective, if we don't really work on the internal, the external won't match it. So the work is first to move inside. Patience in understanding what has moved is incredibly important. And when the mind is able to articulate your new state of being, or what you have received, or what you have learned, then you can take action in the world to create change that is visible. So your internal shifting is change that you can feel. It is very real, and it is sensory based. Feeling energetic, the mind starts to see in new ways. You're able to hold space for things you wouldn't have prior. Your reactivity softens. Your compassion heightens. This is general. But around the circumstance that is changing, you perhaps will also, and absolutely eventually, will begin to feel more comfortable in yourself. It should feel exciting. So now I'm different on the inside. This is where we're at. Now my internal movement has happened. what is the external movement? How do I call into being what I have received? It is one thing to know something and to even feel it in your body. So to know beyond concept, right? To really feel it. And it is another to emerge from that space and give body to that spirit, which is the act of embodiment, is to give body, to give life, to give form to your spirit, to the new information, to your new perspectives. And this requires action. So now you have had a still body to receive the internal movement. Now the internal movement will settle while you move externally. You've settled on what has shifted within. Now there are choices on how to bring body, bring form to that information. Every moment is an opportunity for choice. Every moment is an opportunity to embody your internal experience on purpose, because we're doing it whether we are engaging with it or not. So through the awareness practice and by choice, we're engaging to shape more beautifully and positively our experiences, our life. So the key for me has really been to allow my entire waking state to be a practice, to draw awareness all the time, to be watching all the time. How am I walking down the street? How am I interacting with others? What is my body telling me in these situations? How do I write an email? How do I send a text? What is my reaction when I receive a specific kind of message from another? What do I do in my free time? Where is my energy going? What channels? What do I pay attention to? What do I seek out? What are the habits and the things that I see all the time? And from what I have just learned, from what has just shifted internally for me, how can I take action in choosing or looking from that space, from that new perspective space, into those walks, patterns, free spaces, channels of energy? And when I am in them, how am I making a choice? How am I watching myself, having awareness in all of these moments? Time, patience, both of these things, time and patience. I often experiencing myself having all of the information inside of what I really want to act on or create. And I don't have all the information internally yet to get there. Or I am not able to see the path clearly enough. I'm feeling stuck on certain points of my movement. And so here is the place where we begin to dance. If the action isn't moving externally, there is more internal movement that is necessary. So we wait and we sit. We receive more, and pieces start to come together. And then you go out. Try again. When things aren't moving externally, again, more internal movement has to happen. Generally, my prayer is, let me see that which I cannot see, because we are blocked not by what we know, but by what we don't know. We are blocked not by the things we can see, but by the things we cannot see. So the prayer is, show me the things I cannot see. Mirror the pieces of myself which must be transformed internally that I am missing. What do I need to see I'm not seeing? So perhaps from that practice, more opens. And then you are watching and dancing in between the formation and movement of your internal world and the action and the choice and the opportunities to shape from that space in your external world. When the channel is open, you keep acting forward, keep participating, keep watching, keep choosing. When you feel blocked or stuck in your external movement, in your manifest movement, physical movement, you retreat, you get still, you remove yourself from that, and let there be more organization on the inside. What is important to note is that both of these processes are not only equally important, but hold equal movement. As much movement you receive on the inside, as much shifting you do internally, you can move that much externally. You can shift or change or evolve that much in your physical experience. As much, meaning the amount of time spent in stillness, understanding, renegotiating the terms of your life for the better. As much movement you will see around you, and not more than that. So this is your choice also. For awareness, how much do I engage? Do I meditate 5 minutes a day? Do I get to my yoga class 3 times a week? Or do I do more? If I am wanting more external shifting. There's the inner action and the external action, the outer action. Both are action, both movement, both equal and incredibly necessary. So maybe from here you take a little bit of time to understand which part of this wave you're in. And just by asking the body and your mind and your spirit, your heart, which portion to stay longer in, or shift out of, or shift back into, right? Check in. Where am I in the course of inner action and outer action, of shifting my internal experience to make the life that I live as I see it change as well? And hold patience as you are in this dance, because it is an infinite dance. And as long as you are participating in your life, this won't end. So it's not a race. I do hope that the mirror of my words and my own experience are in some way of service or helpful to you in this moment. I'm dancing in my own life in this way all the time. I find it incredibly rewarding. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever you're at with this, and thank you for listening.